is youth sports field. We don't have enough in Chula Vista, so that's going to create greater opportunities for our community. But as Ms. Moore said, this is the inception, this is the rollout of the concept. And so throughout the process, what we can assure the public of is that just like we did with the Bayfront, with the community meetings, the charrettes, is that the public will have an opportunity to weigh in on what they want to see there as this goes on. And I certainly hope whatever project is there, it doesn't take 20 years like it did the Gaylord. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the presentation?
No, this concludes our presentation. We'll definitely answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, Ms. Galvez is the first one.
Oh, I think Andrea was first.
Oh, I see her. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
It's your district too, right?
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention that, which is very excited. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your presentation. I had the pleasure of speaking to you all previously and getting a small rundown of this. I think the most important part of all of this is the access that's going to create to the community, which I know is very, very important for us, not just for the entirety of Chula Vista, but specifically for the west side of Chula Vista. That, I mean, one of our bigger items tonight is about the access to field and parkland and recreation centers. And so having that, continuing to have that access to the marina is going to be, I am very passionate about that. I mean, I can tell you personally, the very first time I saw the marina was when I was a kid and my parents did a huge trip to Seaport Village. And so I know that's very common in our community of not seeing how privileged we are in having this very, very beautiful space. And so I think it's going to, what you've presented, it can be a lot of great positive improvements to the west side of Chula Vista, and it's going to impact all of Chula Vista in our region. So I'm excited to see this through, and hopefully not 20 years, but
not 20 years.
Thank you. I was hoping for that reassurance, but I appreciate again your time, and I agree with the mayor that it's going to take some outreach in the community to make sure that it is something that, you know, I can say that it's beautiful, but I don't speak for everyone. So it's very much amplifying what our community needs and our community wants. So that's very important. Thank you.
And thanks for pointing out the community access again, because this is, so if you look across the way, that's existing J Street Park, which is going to remain untouched. One of the things I liked is the bridge going from that, you know, spanning the waterway there, so there's a direct way to the sports complex. And the other thing that we should note is this whole area here in the drawing was never accessible to the public. It was closed off because that was a power plant site.
Sure.
And so here we have all this beautiful acreage that the public was not allowed to use. It now will be something that they can utilize. Ms. Galvez, I had you at the top of the speaker queue, so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And also, just to echo the comments of my colleagues, I'm glad you mentioned that this was the site of the former awful power plant on the Bayfront. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am that the same look and feel that you've designed with the Rady Shell, with the RV park, with a lot of the seamless transitions along the Bayfront will kind of be echoed. It's tough for the public to see in this depiction because it's, you know, yellow, blue, and red. But what we were presented in our individual briefings was something absolutely gorgeous, and I very much approve your design. I am very grateful for the selection of this architect for this project. I am very grateful also to all the green belt that's been included in this particular project. As you know, we're developing a 26-mile loop around the Bayfront called the Bayshore Bikeway project. It's been in the works for a very, very long time, and this is another path for the participants in that tremendous exercise activity to be able to take advantage of, to actually have a stop along the Bayshore Bikeway, to shop, to dine, to have a cup of coffee in the morning on your way to work. But it's a beautiful, beautiful project, and people are swimming in this area already. They are wading. If you go down to the bayfront, even today, you could see folks escaping the heat and enjoying the beauty of that particular space in front of this area. And I hope we find funding in the future to do that pedestrian bridge. I'll say that. I think that was in one of the previous designs. But I fully 100% support this project. It is still in District 2 until November. So, so those are my constituent birds that we're talking about. But thank you very much for a very well thought out, cohesive design that blends into a master plan, seamless bayfront that Chula Vista is really starting to enjoy even more now than ever before. And most of the credit, I mean, goes to, of course, our Port Commissioner Ann Moore, but also all the environmentalists, all the city staff and folks that have really worked hard to create a cohesive look on the bayfront. It doesn't look piecemealed. It doesn't look like a bunch of, disconnected segments. There's a flow to this, and it's beautiful, and it's inviting, and I can't wait. So this opens next year, right? Or no?
Yeah.
But I love that no public monies are used. My major concern, and I'll just share this since we're talking about input here, is of course grade separation. As you know, the Blue Line trolley, which is the most profitable segment and the most used segment of the entire MTS fixed rail system, goes right adjacent to this. And when the trolley goes through, because there's no separation between the trolley tracks and either pedestrian, vehicular, or bicycle traffic, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and there will be blockages. And so, our time will be expiring on this council, but I'd like to strongly encourage our future mayor, our future councils, our city staff and MTS to really strongly consider grade separation, not only at Palomar, which we've been promised for a very long time, but also at J Street, H Street, and E Street. It's very important that the ability to get on and off the freeway to access this complex, and also for folks to be able to cross back and forth between the bayfront and amenities such as this are protected. And we have to plan in advance and prepare for that.
So thank you about mentioning the grade separations. Ms. Galvez and myself sit on the MTS board. Ms. Galvez has sat on that board since she was elected. She's had 4 years of really thoughtful and dedicated service on the MTS board. But the responsible party for the grade separations, of course, is Sandag. I sit on that Sandag board. And what we've been able to do, just for the public knowledge, is Sandag has now moved up the Palomar crossing as their #1 priority for grade seps, as well as E Street. J Street, it does have an underpass, so that the trolley does go over it. Improvements are going to be needed, underneath, but at this point in time, that's the only spot that has the grade sep.
For the J Street traffic coming across and for the bicycles, and it's kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, that'll all be figured out, because don't just plan it in isolation. You take all the traffic patterns as well that are included in these types of projects. So thank you. So is that it, Jill? That's it. Okay, Mr. McCann?
Thank you very much, Mayor. First, I want to thank Ann Moore. I know, just again, looking at the history of the Bayfront, I think you were an assistant city attorney when I was on the council, and I was very fortunate to be on the council with then Councilmember Salas and Mayor Padilla to master plan the Bayfront. And I think that was the key to the success of getting the Bayfront planned and getting Gaylord and soon, hopefully, Pacifica. I want to thank Greg and Fred. And Fred, again, I know have talked several years ago, and I sincerely appreciate you sticking it out. I know that we all understood that the Gaylord project was the #1, and we wanted to make sure that that got approved and that got underway before you brought this plan forward. But this is just the icing on the Gaylord and Pacifica Bayfront project. We went from an old power plant, and I remember driving by it when my mom worked at Rohr Industries. She worked at Rohr Industries for over 30 years. And I, again, just loved that you're bringing forward opportunities for us to take something that used to be industrial. It used to be something that was not considered environmentally friendly or nice in the area, to creating a jewel or a gem. The idea that it's going to be pedestrian friendly, that it's going to be able to make sure that we have youth sports and youth aquatics. I think you could double the youth aquatics pools in the city and you still wouldn't have enough. And lastly, obviously, we all have to make sure that we're watching our pennies, and having it be private funding is tremendous. And I believe this partnership will be tremendous. So I'm 100% behind this. And again, I want to thank you. I want to thank Greg. You guys have been here for the long run, and now it's time to be able to get this done. And I'm fully supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming in. Okay, with that. we'll
Thank
go-
you.
Oh,
Thank you,
go
Mayor. I
ahead.
just wanted to conclude. Thank you for the comments. I appreciate them. What I got out of that is definitely taking a look at grade separation, public access, extremely important to the public, providing recreational needs to the public, extremely important, as well as public participation. That's #1. And actually, the history of this project has been all about public participation. And finally, that the uses really represent the needs of the community. So with that, once the developer submits an application, we'll take a look at it. I've been bored. It's been a couple of months now since I've not had anything to do. So, this would be something that is definitely interesting. And I'll be back to provide any updates as things go along. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, we will go to item 9.2. And let's see, this is Madam City Manager, would you like to lead us into this discussion?
Yes. So thank you, Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight regarding Harborside Park includes a recommendation to close down the park for 90 days in order to secure the area due to increased criminal conduct. This park is located right next to Harborside Elementary School. Staff will go through a very detailed presentation to provide you the facts of what is occurring at the site. I just want to assure you and the public that we will continue to work to provide assistance to our homeless residents, as our HOT team has done for many years. We will also be coordinating increased outreach efforts with South Bay Community Services and other partners as we temporarily close the park. So I do want to point out that we do have some pictures that could be very disturbing and graphic, but I really think it's important for you to see what the community is having to deal with on a daily basis. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tiffany or to Angelica. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. Before I begin, we do have a few members of the community that will be speaking with us, and they are scattered throughout the room. So in respect of their time, I'd like to call them up, if that's okay. Dr. Reyes, Mr. Chang, Monica Crespo, Ranger Sam, Marisol Aguilera, Captain Phil Collum, and Chief Harry Munns. Again, good evening. My name is Angelica Davis. I'm with the city's Housing Division and Homeless Coordinator. I, along with my colleagues, are here tonight to provide a presentation on the current state of Harborside and its impact that it has on our community. Because this concern has no boundaries and no easy solution, we have brought together a group of people to provide additional insight. As our city manager mentioned, we do want to advise of warning. This presentation includes graphic images, including needles, weapons, a body bag, which may be disturbing to some viewers. We anticipate that this material will be covered in the next 10 minutes. If you would like to leave the council chambers or stop watching at home, we do advise that you do that. In 2003, the city purchased the Harborside Park parcel for $2.3 million. An additional $2.1 million was invested in the park improvements. Located on the west side, Harborside was designed to provide an open green space where our residents would ideally gather for recreation, rest, and leisure. Recently, as we've all been witness to, this has not been the case. The growing concern with illicit behavior in this park has created a number of issues and conflicts. Due to the proximity to Harborside Elementary, local businesses, and San Diego County Health and Human Services Agency, many are feeling the effects. Daily, our outreach workers, park rangers, and officers are tasked with mitigating a variety of safety, health, and environmental concerns related to the activities at Harborside. Trying to maintain the park while constantly offering services has become a tremendous balance. Tonight, you will hear from a number of city staff and stakeholders as we provide you with the current state, contributing factors, as well as short and long-term solutions for your consideration. Before I continue, I'd like to recognize members of the community and team. Tonight, you will hear from our elementary school district, our community members, and our homeless outreach team, which includes our police department, code enforcement, and park rangers. Feeling the biggest impact to health and safety issues at the park are our children. From Harborside Elementary, I'd like to ask that Dr. Eduardo Reyes, Superintendent for the Chula Vista Elementary School District, give you insight on the school and district's experience. Dr. Reyes.
Welcome, Dr. Reyes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Casillas, Deputy Mayor Cardenas, council members, city manager, Historian, and City Attorney Guggens. I really appreciate this time because I think it's really, really important that we really share and you need to understand what's happening at Harborside Park. Over the last few years, we've seen an increase of homelessness at Harborside Park, which is right next to Harborside Elementary School. Now, it's called Harborside Park, but the reality is that it is no longer a park, and it hasn't been a park for a while. The play structures have been removed, bathrooms have been closed, students or children are not playing in the park because it is inaccessible to play. On any given day, you will find anywhere from 40 to 60 tents. For those that may not have visited the school or the park faces the field where students play during recess, PE, and do the sports, and is divided by one fence. Now, elementary school is a time where children learn to read, to write, where they start developing social skills, where they develop critical thinking skills, where they start developing their frontal, their neocortex. And when we